Hello everybody and welcome back to Fantasy Football. We got a couple of weeks to cover, a couple of game weeks anyway, because football fixtures come thick and fast in the Premier League. Games over Christmas, there's a lot of them, let's face it, in short spaces of time. People often wonder why the Premier League does that, whereas in other leagues around the world, Germany, Spain, Italy, they have winter breaks to, I guess, help out staff and players and just everything really. But in the Premier League, I think the big difference is with the Premier League is that it's always been a big tradition, especially the Boxing Day games, and so they just kind of keep going with it really. But anyway, we've got firstly game week 19, so this was the games from the 22nd to 23rd of December over that Friday and Saturday. We got 79 points, average was 60, highest was 135. Good week. Harry Kane scored a hat-trick because he's a flipping legend. Salah doing his job, and then Captain Sterling, I think he got an assist and a goal that week. Yeah, assist, goal, clean sheet, so did everything he could really. Gross of Brighton as well, I think he scored. Did he score, assist? He scored, and clean sheets. So yeah, really good there. Other players letting me down really, but there you go. And I put Speroni in goal, I think, instead of De Gea, and I got an extra point for making that bold choice, so happy with that. I think I had Kolasinac in, but I can't remember if I had him in and then they subbed in someone else, I can't remember. But Lukaku drawing a blank again, and Rooney drawing a blank, so not like, I mean, really good, 79 points I'm always happy with, but not the greatest. It could have been a lot better, essentially. In there we had the 3-3 Arsenal-Liverpool game, which was a belter of a game. I think Liverpool were like, I'm having to think back now, I believe Liverpool were like 3-1 up or something like that, and Arsenal came back to draw with them. Or were they even 3-0 up at like half time or something, and then Arsenal came back? It was something like that. I know Arsenal came back, did well. Everton Chelsea was 0-0. Brighton Watford was 1-0 there. Man City beat Bournemouth 4-0. It was just a bit of a roasting. We'll talk about Man City more. Southampton 1, Huddersfield 1, pretty standard result. Stoke with a really good win against West Brom there actually. A lot of people say Mark Hughes would have lost his job if they'd have done anything but win there. So I'm sure he'll be very happy. Swansea Palace, as a Palace fan, I was very disappointed with us drawing that, especially Swansea didn't even have a manager at that point. They appointed Carlos Carvalhal recently, who is the ex-Sheffield Wednesday manager, so we'll see how they do. A lot of people praising him and saying he's a good manager, but I don't know if he's going to be enough to save Swansea, we'll see. West Ham, Newcastle, good win for Newcastle there. 3-2. Atsu, I think he's starting to come into a bit of form, Atsu. He was a weird player, he was another ex-Chelsea player, who I think he went on loan at Newcastle and then they did buy him. But he's been pretty quiet, I think, but I think he's starting to come into a bit of form now, so we'll see how he does. Spurs, Harry Kane getting all three against Burnley, and what is a really good win against Burnley, to be fair. And Leicester, Man United, Leicester went 1-0 up with Vardy. Mata brought them back into it, and then Maguire scored really late on, even though Leicester were down to 10 men. Disappointing for Man United. I think it was that after that game that Mourinho bemoaned the fact that he didn't have enough money to spend, or that he needed to spend more money, even though they've spent 300 million since he's been there. But he's bemoaning the fact that Man City are spending on fullbacks what other teams are spending on strikers, and you just have to laugh really, because this is a guy who spent 80 million on Lukaku. Like, you can't turn around and say, 100 million on Pogba. You can't complain about money. It's a classic Mourinho thing to do, to try to deflect away from a poor performance, but like, it literally is sad at this point. That's the thing. So yeah, overall, it was an okay week. I was pretty happy with 79 points. I think that was my second highest ever amount, so I was really, really pleased with that. Now if we move on to game week 20, you'll see 90 points, which is my highest ever points total, so I'm really happy about that. Here we can see I would have got 2 extra points if I put Speroni in, but I thought Man United were going to keep a clean sheet against Burnley. I was clearly wrong. But Otamendi here, just a clean sheet, but doing well for me at the back there. Higazi, I think he got a clean sheet, didn't he? Yeah. Duffy got 1 point. I had Gomez in, but Gomez didn't play, so Duffy came in with 1 point. Salah just doing what Salah does. Sterling scoring, playing really well. Cross didn't do anything for me. Townsend scored and assisted. So there you go. I think Sterling score and assist. No, just scored this time. Score and clean sheet. Salah just scored. No, 2 assists. Sorry, 2 assists for Salah. Just 2 assists. Nothing big. And then Harry Kane with another hat trick. Ridiculous. Firmino, 2 goals as well. Lukaku didn't do anything. So 90 points, which is my highest ever week total. So these are for the games which were played on Boxing Day and then the Wednesday and Thursday. I'm recording this on the 29th, just after that. Puts us up to under 500,000 in England and getting close to that under a million mark for overall, which is where I kind of want to be. I'd be happy with that, considering total players are 5.6 million. So if you're in the top 20%, I think that's decent. Although I would say maybe at least 2 million of them have probably never, have just stopped playing by this point. So I'd probably like to be really happy, I'd probably say top 750,000. And believe me when I say there's not many points separating that from what I've got, so I'm really happy there. In terms of the results and what happened, Spurs wiping the floor with Southampton. Kane hat-trick, Ali's son, Ali with 2 assists, Son with 2. I mean, maybe Spurs are getting back into some form now, because they have had 2 really good wins. Harry Kane people talk about this record of calendar year goals, which, I understand, I think the record of saying, oh, you've beaten Alan Shearer's record of calendar year goals is ridiculous. It's irrelevant, What impresses me is the fact that he scored more than Messi and Ronaldo in a year, in less games. And less than Lewandowski and Cavani and players like that who play in far inferior leagues, in my opinion, as in they have easier games each week. Sure, they'll have some hard games, and Harry Kane was injured for about 3 weeks as well in February, so he has just been on fire though, and to score more goals than games you've played is a phenomenal statistic. And I believe it was I did say that I believe he is the best striker in the world right now, and I'll stick with that. If you want an out-and-out goal scorer, Harry Kane is the best one. It's what he does. He reminds me so much of Alan Shearer. In that, Alan Shearer was just a goal machine. He'll score from anywhere. Left foot, right foot, header. That's what he does. It's not a case of he'll run and take on 6 people and do all that type of stuff. He'll just score goals. You put it into him, he'll score the goal, and that's what Harry Kane does, in my opinion, the best in the world right now. Pretty frightening considering he's English, and we haven't had a striker like that for a while. Probably since Alan Shearer, and we've had some good strikers. I just think that for what Harry Kane does, he's unbeatable. Michael Owen would be the one, I guess. Ballon d'Or winner Michael Owen would be the one who you would probably look at as like the last time we had this exciting a striker for England. But again, Michael Owen was a different sort of player and relied a lot more on his pace than Kane does, because Kane doesn't really have a huge amount of pace. A bit like Shearer, it's just that positional awareness, the finishing. It's so good. I don't know if he's still going to be at Spurs next season. They'll obviously try and hang on to him, but like with Gareth Bale, someone comes in with a crazy bid, what are you going to do? You know, I kind of hope he does stay at Spurs, because I feel like Spurs are just so close to cracking this code of, you know, being able to compete, that they just need a few more players, and then they might be able to, you know, get there, because if you look at them, they're really strong in almost every department. They just need a few more backup players, and you know, they could have a really strong season, so we'll see. Southampton, I worry for Southampton, I really do. They're in 14th now, you know, they're only a couple of points off the relegation zone and in terrible form. Man United up next, and they just did not look good in any way. I've always liked Southampton, they've always had a very good, they've been one of those sort of model businesses where they've had to sell a lot of their players, and in fact they've just sold Virgil van Dijk for 75 million to Liverpool. I'll talk about that as well. You know, they're very much a selling club in that respect. They produce really good young players. Obviously not Virgil van Dijk, they brought him, but you know, they have an eye for a player, and I think what's caught up with them is this kind of manager merry-go-round, you know, which they have, where a lot of their managers are getting poached as well, and it's only that only happens, you know, lightning can't strike that many times until you're going to get somebody who perhaps doesn't suit the club as well, and I think Pellegrini might be that way, and they're just playing very insipid football, I think, at the minute. So I hope they can kind of sort themselves out, because they've got some really good players. Bournemouth, West Ham, this was a barnstormer of a game, absolutely barnstormer. You look at it on paper and go, oh, there's not a lot going to happen here, but you had like, I think West Ham like took a 3-2 lead in like the, or was it Bournemouth? I think it was Bournemouth took a, no, it was West Ham took a 3-2 lead in like the 90th minute. Bournemouth scored with what was a blatant kind of handball goal in like the 94th or something like that. Everyone going crazy. That was a real entertaining game though, if you get a chance to look at the highlights of that. Chelsea with a solid win against Brighton. I thought they'd win that game, to be fair. I'm pretty sure I called that. Chelsea, again, pretty quiet around Chelsea at the minute because of everything that's going on with Man City and Man United and other teams, but they're there in third, you know. They've had some good results recently. It's not a disgraceful 0-0 with Everton there, but they're just kind of plodding along, I think, and it would be interesting to see if they pick up anybody in the January transfer window. We'll have to wait and see. Huddersfield, Stoke, both teams really needed a win there. Huddersfield obviously in a better position than Stoke, but at least I guess they didn't lose. Stoke were on a terrible run until they got that good 3-1 win at the expense of West Brom, who are now like terrible once more. So yeah, we'll see. I think 10th downwards could possibly still be in trouble, but probably these kind of teams are edging their way out slowly but surely. Man United, Burnley went 2-0 up. Man United came back in the second half to get to 2-2 thanks to pretty much Jesse Lingard single-handedly getting them through. It's safe to say Man United are rocked at the minute. They don't seem to have any sort of identity. I was having a conversation actually with a Man United fan, and you know, he was saying that he doesn't think Pep Guardiola's, you know, the best manager in the world because he's always been at big teams and he's always, you know, so he's always had the big budget to buy players and etc. Whereas Mourinho has, like, you know, he won the Champions League with Porto and, you know, done stuff like that, and then with Inter, you know, teams who aren't perhaps the biggest budgeted teams in the world. But one thing I say about Guardiola, I think I've said before, is that just makes players better. I don't see that with Mourinho. I don't see many players who come in under Mourinho and actually look a better player after, training with him and playing with him. In actual fact, it seems to be the opposite sometimes. That players who, after they leave Mourinho, they go on to be better, and it's almost like he kind of drains the team of everything, and I kind of see with him, he never really has this plan, or the plan is a lot more defensive and solid and about kind of stifling your opponent and that kind of thing, and it's not, you just feel like if it wasn't for Man City this season, if you take Man City out of the equation, he's doing well because he would technically be first, but Man City are here and they're making him look real bad, and he hates that because he hates Pep as well from their time at Barcelona or Real Madrid. And when Mourinho is in that sort of mindset where he doesn't like losing basically, and at the minute he's getting his arse kicked by Man City, and you can tell it's hurting him, when in reality if he gets, say, second this season, wins a couple of cups or a cup and does well in the Champions League, it's not a disgraceful season by any means. It's probably a pretty solid season, but everybody will look at how well Man City have done and they will see it that way, and that will bug him because he wants to be number one always. As for Burnley, well, I guess if you'd probably asked them if they wanted 2-2, they would have taken it. Their winning ways have kind of stopped in the last 3 games. We'll see how they get on. Obviously, they're still doing exceptionally well, but that talk of Champions League positions, I think, is probably out the window now. I'd love to see them in the Europa League, though, so I hope they can, push onwards. And at the end of the day, as I said, a 2-2 draw with Man United at Old Trafford is no disgrace. Watford back to winning ways, I think. Yeah, they had suffered some shocking results recently. Great 2-1 win at the expense of Leicester. I'm guessing there was an own goal scored there. Yeah, Schmeichel own goal. Didn't see this one, I must admit, so I don't know too much about it. But Watford are pretty safe, I think, at mid-table this season, I'm going to guess anyway, which I don't think is a terrible result for Marco Silva. I think he needs a season to kind of prove himself in the Premier League a little bit, because he had that half season with Hull and everybody was raving about him, but I think until you've completed a couple of seasons and see how you do, that's when people can start raving about you. So I think he'll be pretty happy with how they're doing. West Brom Everton, I'd say that's a pretty good draw for West Brom, to be fair, but I think that's 2 0-0s for Everton. I think they need a striker, as badly as Crystal Palace need a striker, and I think West Brom might be doomed, though. I have to say, they're a terrible run of form. They've got Arsenal up next, they're probably going to get spanked. We'll see. Liverpool demolished Swansea. Just absolutely destroyed them. This is what Liverpool are capable of. Their attacking is one of the best in the possibly even world right now. You can see they've scored 46 goals. The only team who've scored more is Man City. And 46 goals in 20 games is phenomenal. They've only lost 2. They just have really struggled to turn some of these into wins. They just spent 75 million on Virgil van Dijk. Now, when they were linked with him in the summer, I think it was only about 50 million. So I guess their little shenanigans with tapping up cost them another 25. But it was clearly somebody who they have had an eye on. And I don't know if one central defender's can solve all their problems. Look at Dejan Lovren. I think it's more of a mentality thing, and I think it's a goalkeeper thing. The difference it makes when you have a goalkeeper you can rely on at the back, I think, for a defence is so much more important than people think of. And Liverpool should have spent that 75 million on a goalkeeper if they don't get another one. I know that Klopp Klopp is kind of like saying on the outside that he's happy with his goalkeepers, but they make way too many mistakes and it costs them way too many points. There are goalkeepers out there who Liverpool could buy, but I don't know if they will. But you just kind of feel like they're just screaming out for that, really, and I think that they'll push on then, and they could become a bit of a force to be reckoned with, as long as they don't kind of get split up, because the Coutinho to Barcelona thing does still seem like that's gonna happen in a way. So I wonder what they're gonna do, who they're gonna replace him with. They have got Keita joining them next season, which will be a big help because he's a fantastic player playing for Leipzig in Germany right now. Who I think would do very well at Liverpool, weirdly, I think Wilf Zaha would do amazingly well at Liverpool. Not that I want him to leave Palace, but if he does, I think he'd do very well there. And Swansea just look doomed to me right now. They're 5 points off. They just doesn't look good for them. They've really struggled to score. They scored 11 goals, only the least in the Premier League, and that's when you consider Palace didn't score a goal for the first 9 games. I think someone said to me Palace scored 2 goals in each of their they're averaging 2 goals in their last 5 games, because we scored 3 there and only 1 there. Doing pretty well, really, considering they were start. Man City against Newcastle, this was an interesting one. Newcastle were just defending 10 men behind the ball the whole time. It was, I don't know how you stop Man City right now. Is that the way? Is getting a point at Man City winning the league? It's ridiculous. I don't know. It doesn't show you his statistics from that game, but I'd love to see the percentage of possession, because it's just kind of ridiculous right now. That one was, I think, around 80%, which is just numbers we've just not seen. Let's see if it's got anything in stats, club stats. This might have possession, no. Passes. I'd imagine they've got the highest passes. I think it's statistic, yeah, there you go. A statistic I saw was Otamendi made more passes in that game against Newcastle than the entire Newcastle team. Which I was like, what? He made 117 passes or something in Liverpool. Newcastle only made 97 or something. I thought it was just a mind-blowing stat. I don't know what to say. Man City have got who they got up next. Let's have a look. There we go. They've got how could I forget? They've got Crystal Palace next, which segues us into the next game, which is Crystal Palace v Arsenal, where Crystal Palace lost 3-2. We were terrible in the first half, we really were. We were only 1-0 down. We got it back to 1-0, and then they scored, then we got it back, I think, to... then they went 3-1, then we got it back to 3-2 within the 89th minute, but we weren't good. At the back, Arsenal took advantage of that. Sanchez, been a lot of stuff going on about Sanchez, because obviously he's pretty soon free to sign for another club at the end of the season, him and Ozil. I fully expect them to do that. I don't think they're going to hang around at Arsenal. Sanchez scoring 2 goals, 2 good goals, I'd say. I thought Arsenal were a little lucky on a couple, the first 2 goals. We just nearly saved them, or very nearly got a block in, but yeah, fair play. Arsenal are in 6th now. I can't see Arsenal really getting much above 6th, even though they're on an unbeaten run. Watching them in that game, it kind of surprised me. It's the first time I've really watched Arsenal play thinking to myself, like, what happened to this Arsenal team? You know, what happened to this team, which was, you know, they made it just seemed to hit a lot of like long balls and stuff like that, and I was like, what happened? You know, I don't know. It's weird. But yeah, as I kind of said last time, I wonder where Arsenal are going to be next season. Like, who they're going to sign. I mean, obviously they're going to sign players to replace Ozil and Sanchez, but how much are they going to be able to afford? Because they're basically going to lose those players for free, I would imagine. They're talking about, I think, Julian Draxler from PSG or Thomas Lemar as a player they've been linked to a lot, but interesting times there, very interesting times. And with Palace, you know, anybody thought we were out of the relegation dogfight was wrong. We're 1 point above the relegation zone, and we play Man City next, so that's a loss. I don't think we're going to beat Man City at all. Looking at the next games, which are literally tomorrow, as I record this, so we'll get another video out like Monday, Tuesday time. Bournemouth, Everton. I don't know, Everton really struggling for goals right now, so I can see that being another 0-0. I can see a Chelsea win there. I can see that being a draw. I could see that being very interesting because Liverpool love attacking, Leicester love counter-attacking. I could see quite a high-scoring game there for sure. That would be the game I'd probably want to watch out of all of those. Newcastle, Brighton. I will say, even though Newcastle are not doing that well this season currently, they're struggling a little bit. They've been on a very bad run. I saw this statistic which said that Rafa Benitez his transfer fund has been, like, since he joined Newcastle, he's made £10 million profit, which is shocking, really. So they haven't technically made a loss on transfers, which is unheard of for Premier League clubs, you know. And hopefully they're going to get this takeover in. Hopefully he's still going to be there. Hopefully they're going to kind of sort themselves out, because that city, you know, those people, those fans deserve a good football team. Because I think they've got in place a great manager. He just needs some financial backing. He's essentially, you know, keeping them in the Premier League currently with a Championship side. But they could beat Brighton. That would be an interesting game. I can see Watford beating Swansea, not necessarily comfortably, but certainly maybe a 2-0 or 2-1 or something. Man United, Southampton have been so bad. I can only see a Man United win there. As indifferent as Man United have been, I can just see a Man United win, like 2-0, 1-0 or something like that. City are going to beat Palace, we know that, and I can see Arsenal whooping West Brom as well. So, with that in mind, we'll keep our City players, obviously. Kane is a worry now. Spurs also. Spurs aren't playing in this week, if you notice. So, yeah, that's the thing. They're playing twice in the game week after. So everybody's transferred out Harry Kane because he's not going to play. So we're going to do the same thing. Who do you replace Kane with, though? That's the question, isn't it? I actually think, like, Liverpool, Leicester, I guess maybe De Bruyne, like, if you got the money, you know. Or, no, not Aguero, Lisbon, De Bruyne. Oh, I don't think I can because I haven't, I've got too many, yeah, I can't, I need a striker, that's fair. So, Chelsea, Stoke, okay, let's put Morata then. Yeah, let's go for Morata. Could just do that, couldn't I? At least it is 2 million. Who else do we want to probably drop here? Brighton, Newcastle, of course, could get something. I might leave Duffy in as well. West Brom are playing Arsenal. They're going to get battered. I'm going to drop a Gazzy. You watch. I'm going to look like an idiot here, aren't I? There we go. And that leaves us 6.7. We need another defender. Could get Walker in. Seems to make sense, doesn't it? Getting a Man City player. Okay. okay with that. Okay, so we've got Morata, Firmino, Lukaku. The question is now, who do I get as captain? I know Townsend's probably not ideal here. In fact, I mean, he's on form. Do I swap Townsend with Duffy and hope to get that clean sheet bonus? Sure, why not? I think looking at that, he's got more of a chance of getting a clean sheet away to Newcastle than Townsend has of getting anything against Man City. For me, Lukaku, I'm going to stick with Lukaku. I can see him getting a goal too. For now, I'm going to keep Salah as captain. I'm very tempted to switch it around, but I think that's what we're going to go for. So there. So, thank you so much for watching, guys. As always, been my pleasure. Let me know how you're doing as well. I'm always interested. Let me know where you are overall and stuff like that. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.